transition into more of these stories. We definitely want to hear more about that, your experience with the paranormal. But before we do, I have a quick question here.
Yes.
I would love to know, John, your thoughts. Do you believe that the 1954 Greada Treaty is real? Do you believe that Eisenhower met with extraterrestrials and other highly influential officials around that time? And what was it, at Edwards Air Force Base in 1954? This has been coming to the light in the past, decade or so. Yeah. And I want to know your thoughts. Is that something that you believe happened? Is that accurate?
I mean, being an FBI, right?
Right.
Agent.
Yeah. No, I don't believe it happened. I don't believe it's real. However, it's a two-part answer because I actually do believe something like it did happen. So the specific incident that you're referring to, no, I don't believe that it happened. And the reason is something that I explained in my other book, The Extra Dimensionals. It's because we are living under a system of data flooding. And what happens is there is an unseen hand that is at work in all of these things, especially in the world of ufology, where a lot of things are very strictly controlled. And one of the policies that the elite powers in control, that is how I refer to them, the elite powers in control that give the nations their marching orders every day. One of the things that they do is that they create these false events and push them forward so that what actually happened can actually be an exact parallel of what the event they're pushing forward. And they push these false events forward so that then you have it in front of you and you are distracted by this event. You can research it as much as you want. You'll never be able to corroborate it. So therefore, then their forces in the mainstream media are able to say, okay, that's been debunked. It's not real. It's not true. It never happened. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, they're actually using it to cover up the real meeting that happened, the real agreement that was reached, because with the level of abductions that are going on in this world, human abductions that occurs that are never investigated, never really looked into. It seems that, and then people instinctively know there's got to be some kind of agreement that's in place with alien visitors, because of the amount of people they're allowed to take unmolested, without question, without any investigation. So it seems like, there is some kind of agreement that's been arrived at, where apparently we get technology that's been given to us ever since Roswell in 1947. And in exchange, all the industrial nations have levels of missing persons that are astronomical, that are just incredible. And yet there's no investigation of these missing persons. So instinctively, we all kind of know there must have been some kind of agreement. Mm-hmm. But yet the agreement that we see pushed forward, the one that you specifically just mentioned, Vanessa, is, again, I believe it's like a facade. It's another false story that is put forward so that the real agreement and the real meeting is actually protected. It's protected because now they put forward this fall. And that's something that I call data flooding. It's a policy that they use, which works better than secrecy ever did, especially for their purposes.
Wow,
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, wow. You know so much, John, really, really. And we're fascinated by what you're talking about. But, one of the things that, like Vanessa, I know has several questions for you. What's the next question that you have? Because I know you have some good questions.
Shoot, Vanessa. I'm ready.
Let Vanessa see. What's the next question?
I do. I wanted to know, why do you believe that the extra-dimensional concept is so vital to human existence and to human freedom?
Mm-hmm.
Because the extra-dimensional concept helps us to begin to understand our reality much better. That's one of the reasons why it is so suppressed in ufology and in the supernatural by all the cultural forces that are put forward by the elite powers in control. They don't want this coming out. That's one of the reasons. And extra dimensionality for your audience just means the fact that alien visitors are not physical. They are not physical. They are visiting human beings. They are visiting our Earth from other places. Absolutely, they are. And abductions are real. Cattle mutilations are real. And the source is alien visitors. All of these things, they are real. However, the trick is that alien visitors themselves, they are not physical. They never have been. They are not coming here. They are not like humans, like we've been taught in ufology, like we've been taught by Roswell and things like that. They are not like humans. They are not locking themselves in little tin cans and sailing across the galaxies to come visit us here and then sail back, whatever. They are not that way. They are actually appearing here. They are going through gateways where they are coming here from other levels of existence, other levels of non-physical reality. And they are appearing here. They are changing their vibration to match ours temporarily, and they are appearing here for short periods of time, and then they go back to where they come from. And where they come from is not in our physical reality. And extra dimensionality also refers to the fact that UFOs, the real ones, the real UFOs that are coming here, are also being alive beings. They are conscious beings, and they're empty. There's nobody inside there. They are like familiars that are accompanying these alien visitors and carrying out tasks for them, doing things for them. That's their role. That's their function. And once you start to understand that, then it helps you to understand a lot of other ideas and concepts that, again, the elite powers in control do not want the human population to know or to understand. That they start to understand spirituality. They start to understand that we ourselves are also extra dimensional in nature.
That's so
Absolutely.
interesting. Well, just recently, John, as a matter of fact, in August 18, 2017, in Phoenix, Arizona, just past week, they had some sightings, some extraterrestrial sightings. Did you hear about that?
Yes. Arizona is very big on. It may be a lot of morphogenic, what we call morphogenic sites, where we have a lot of gateways in Arizona because there's constant supernatural UFO activity here, and it's amazing the level of activity that we have here, and that's why I believe that there are, for people who always say, well, where's the proof? Where's the hard proof? I don't believe there's any real proof. The proof is out there. It's out there. And believe it or not, it's on the internet. It's for real. And we need to take off the shroud from over the scales from our eyes. And we have to be able to actually see reality as it really is, because most people cannot, because they've been culturally conditioned by the culture to believe that everything is not real except what the media tells them is real. And that's just the worst possible way for your mind to exist. Wow. It is, because it doesn't allow you any freedom of thought.
Oh my goodness, wow.
You shared a video, Vanessa, I don't know, it's so interesting, with the UFO in January 2011 in Jerusalem, at the dome. And that I saw that it was amazing, because it was actually different. There were different people that saw it, from different nationalities, even some that spoke English, some that spoke another language. Tell me about that, and why did they choose? Why would they choose a religious area to just, kind of appear there? What do you think then?
I think the reason, Well, first of all, let me just tell people in January 2011, there was an incident in Jerusalem, Israel, and it's called, anybody wants to look it up, it's called the Dome of the Rock UFO. Dome of the Rock UFO. Just look that up and you'll see all the videos. And when that happened, I was on the East Coast working with an intelligence squad, and one of the men, his code name was Sitko, and he was managing a team in the field in Jerusalem at the time. And this happened at 1 a.m. in Israel. And he had a team on the ground in Jerusalem, is unrelated, supposed to be doing something else. And instead, whatever they were doing was canceled because of this incident. They contacted him when I was with him, and they told us, hey, whatever we were working on, forget about it, because they're here. They're here. The alien visitors have arrived, and they decided to arrive in Israel. They told us that they directly observed this dome, this UFO come down over the Dome of the Rock, and they said they had reports, and these other reports were never verified, but they had reports of other landmarks, holy sites around Israel that also received UFO contact at the same time or in the same time frame. And they said, this is it. They're here. This is not just disclosure. This is the arrival. They have arrived.
Oh my gosh.
And they said this was amazing, and they had videos, and they said lots of people had videos, and they said this was the most incredible thing that's ever happened. This is the arrival. Well, right as soon as they said that, Sitko advised them that this was not the arrival, and that this was going to be it was going to be covered up by morning. Because what happens is, he said that there are global teams of people that all they do is find genuine incidences of paranormal events, and they take down the original videos, which they did. They take down the original videos, and then they load fakes. They create CGI duplicates of these events and load them up, so that when people try to go see Dome of the Rock UFO, if you have millions of people, they try to go see Dome of the Rock, which happened immediately thereafter, they'll be confronted with these CGI cheapy fakes. Also, the mainstream media will come and report on the cheapy duplicates that are created by these teams. And that way, the awakening is avoided. And the whole incident, it's like it never happened. And exactly what he said happened, not within a couple of days, but within a couple of hours of the incident. The original video that was loaded up there was taken down. But since then, there have been many other videos have been loaded from people, because this was seen all over Jerusalem. And many different groups, many different nationalities recorded this incident. Not only that, and I believe I provided you guys one of the really best videos comparing this, with credit to somebody on YouTube. I don't remember the name, but not only that, the real kicker of this incident, for those who always say, "Oh, show me the proof," is that there's weather satellite videos. You can actually look these up too on video. Weather satellite cameras. Cameras are set up only for purposes of recording weather. And those cameras are set up by the state, by the Israeli government. And those cameras also recorded the exact same incident.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember seeing those flashes, and I know, one of the things that really impressed me is that this happened January 2011, and then 9/11 happened. Do you realize that? It's kind of like January, and then 9/11.
2001.
Oh, the numbers match. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, the numbers.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, the numbers match up.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah, they match up. Okay, go ahead.
So I never thought of. You worked for the government, so when we hear that, like they go to such extremes to cover things up. Can I ask, what is the real reason the government continues to hide these incidences? Could it be out of fear of like losing control of the people, or do they really just want to gather the information and have the correct information before making a statement?
It's because they must. It's because they must. It's because they're ordered to. It's because they're just blindly following orders. Now, let me just tell you, since 1947, since Roswell, since 1947, there was some kind of, speaking of the agreement that you were talking about, Vanessa, since 1947, there has been some kind of a worldwide order. This is not to any individual nation. There has been a worldwide order that went forth to all the nations that said you will never allow anything to be revealed or shown or exposed to the public that shows anything real about alien visitors or real UFOs. And that order has been the standing order that goes beyond any president, any prime minister, any regime. That has been continuous, and it goes up until today. How do we know this? Well, you know how you know it? Because you see incidences like, for instance, 1980, Rendlesham Forest, where we had an American base on British soil, where two nations were involved, and there was a UFO invasion of this military base, and several UFOs over 3 days and nights and yet there was a cover-up that went forward from two nations that didn't have to wait for orders. They didn't have to wait to be ordered or told. Both nations immediately, smoothly put into effect a cover-up, suppressing the soldiers from talking, and even the colonel of the entire base, and trying to discredit them and trying to take away any ability they had to talk about what happened. So what I'm saying is they don't have to wait for orders. You can just Google NASA cuts the live feed, or Google this, ESA, European Space Agency, cuts the live feed. That shows there's a technician there who, in all of these space agencies, there are technicians that don't have to wait for orders. They know there's a standing order that if something shows up on the satellite feed above the Earth's atmosphere and it suddenly starts showing an unknown UFO that they have no idea what it is, they know they're supposed to push that button and cut the live feed to stop people from seeing it. So you see, what I'm saying is, these responses all over the world from all the nations, they're immediate. They don't have to wait or they don't have to say, hey, what do the bosses want us to do about this? They don't have to wait. And even if they did, the president wouldn't care. They wouldn't care one way or the other. I mean, they would have no agenda. So these orders are coming from someplace higher up, is what I'm saying. And these orders are in effect all the time. They're just following orders. And a lot of times they don't even know why. But it doesn't matter why, because they're governments and they just follow orders.
Wow. Sounds like the deep state.
Yeah, but you know what? Speaking of that, following orders and everything, what could you tell us about, we found another story on collective evolution about government geologist Phil Schneider, who, terrified encounter with extraterrestrials, after drilling on top of the base 2 miles under. So apparently he has worked. This happened in southwest part of Archuleta Mesa. I don't know where that is exactly, but Phil's story has gained a lot of attention, from UFO researchers. Okay, because he claims that he used to be a government contractor who specialized in engineering and geology. What do you think about that? Do you think he actually this actually happened, or is just one of those stories that people make up?
Well, like everybody, I've always heard of that Phil Schneider story. I kind of know the general parameters, but I've never so much really looked into it to see about whether it was true or not. I mean, if you want to look at a similar story from an individual that had absolute credibility, you'd have to look at Boyd, the scientist Boyd. who was on. I wish I. Trying to remember his last name. He was the senior scientist from one of the big weapons contractors, Skunk Works, and he passed away recently. But before he passed away, he did a video showing all of his contacts with Roswell underground lab in the government. And he said that Roswell was processing, and he was in charge of processing all of the alien technology that had come out of Roswell. And he was working with anti-gravity, disruption of time, and a lot of free energy devices. And he said it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And I think his story, and he actually released like a one hour video showing pictures of aliens that have been given to him. And that's, anybody can look that up on YouTube. It's available. And he is someone that I spoke to in 2008. And I found him to be a very credible individual, if you want to check him out.
Wow, that's interesting. Why do you think UFOs are visiting our planet, John? I mean, you had that encounter when you were 10 years old, and then you've talked about people that have been abducted, right? And why is it that they're being abducted, and why are they visiting us, and then all of a sudden we see them and people get awed by them, and then all of a sudden they disappear? We want to know, being you're an FBI agent.
Yeah. And that's why it's because they can't be here permanently. They're not physical. And so they're seeking out the greatest possible treasure that they could find. Zachariah Stitchin used to say that they're here to get our gold. And I think with their technology, they could get all the gold they want very quickly if that's what they wanted. And I think what they're here to get is more precious than gold. They are seeking connection with human souls. They are seeking to connect with us on a spiritual level. That's what I believe they want. That's what they're after. And that's really true of both types of alien visitations, which is the benevolent ones that seek to help us, to connect with us, to help us, to uplift us, to create benefits for us, and the malevolent entities that are seeking domination, that are not seeking to do good things for us at all. Both sides, both of them want connection with human beings.
I have another question that just kind of popped up. The indigo children. Do you think they're in a way aliens that are being born and wanting to, because it's so strange that they could see all this, or they were giving messages, or are they just used by aliens to give us messages?
I think both are true, Claudia, because in a way they are alien because their abilities, everything that they have, come through what I believe is their extra-dimensional nature, from their extra-dimensional side. So in that sense, I think they are very similar to alien visitors. And yes, I believe that they have been used in the past and maybe again in the future to deliver messages and deliver things on the part of alien visitors. I think they are.
Wow. See, we got to get all the questions from you. You're the expert. What about, I saw this video on the tech incident that you sent us a video that took place.
Tether?
Yeah, the what? The tether.
Tether.
The tether incident.
Yeah, I wasn't reading properly. I remember. It's okay. We got to make something funny around here. Okay, the tether incident.
The tether.
Tell us about that, John. What does that mean?
In 1996, NASA sent some sort of a contraption out into space above the Earth's atmosphere, where they were doing an experiment that had never been tried before, and I don't believe since. And there was a line that they had put into space, and anyone can look this up. It's 1996. ST5, I believe it's ST5 tether incident. But actually, if you just Google tether incident, you'll find it. And they put this sort of cord into space that was conducting both magnetism and electricity at the same time. And it was something that had never been done before. And what happened, of course, is that part of the thing came loose supposedly accidentally, came loose and stuck straight out into space, 6 miles out into space. It was a very long cord, and it just stuck out into space, and it became like an antenna. Transmitting a signal. And if you go watch the video, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like an antenna just transmitting a signal out into space. And I believe, it looks to me like it acted like a distress signal, because all of a sudden you see all of these UFOs coming in from all over space. It's like there were so many of them that it's almost like they popped into existence, like they were invisible before, because so many of them, it's an amazing number of them, just coming into view to check out what this transmitter, this tether, this antenna is giving off. And and you see so many, and some of these UFOs are massive. They look like they're a mile in diameter. They look really massive, and they just come onto screen, and they're checking, and they're speeding up. Some of them are speeding up and slowing down when they get next to the signal, next to the antenna, and they're just checking it out. And there's dozens of them, and it's an amazing sight. It's an amazing thing, but the most amazing thing is that NASA technicians, again, remember the standing order. They as soon as they come on there, because they don't have to wait for superiors to tell them. They know what they have to do right away. And as soon as that happened, they start saying, it looks like a bunch of ice crystals in the background. Well, how do ice crystals form perfect dome shapes that are actually, and because of the camera's nature, the camera is able to pick up energy pulses. And a lot of these things, not only are they perfectly dome shaped, perfect circles, but they're giving off energy signals. And why is that? Why are they giving off these energy signals from the front, not the backs? Because the front, and why is that? It's because they're scanning this antenna to find out what is going on. Wow. So, ice crystals don't do that, but you have to see the video for yourself, and you have to hold on to your common sense when NASA and mainstream media, tells their lies about this stuff, that tells you, don't believe your eyes.
Absolutely. Don't believe your eyes.
Believe what we're telling you. Believe the nonsense that we're telling you.
And we'll actually add links to those videos so you can see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, I wanted to also ask you some questions about, of course, the amazing books that you have coming up soon. One question I wanted to ask before we get into that, what exactly is the Great Voice?
The Great Voice. Oh, that's the subject of my next book, The Clear Hearers, which will be coming out in the next couple of months. And that's the Great Voice is simply a reference to people who are in contact with some kind of a power that gives them messages and helps to uplift them, help them sometimes save their lives. And it's, like I said, it's the subject of my next book, The Clear Hearers.
It's going to be so interesting. Wow, John. Yeah. I can't wait for that book. But you have the extra dimensionals, true tales and concepts of alien visitors. What is that about?
Oh, the extra dimensionals.
Yeah, extra dimensionals.
That is basically the collection of the proofs that it's a story of investigation, of my own investigation into ufology. And it's really for me, it was a shocking evolution of how I found out that ufology hasn't done anything in the last 60 years. It really has done nothing. It's just like Roswell happened, and everybody just said, okay, that's all there is. That's what we're going to believe in, and that was it. And everything just kind of stopped. There was no further thought, analysis, or development after that. And what really got me started on that was, you asked me about the paranormal and the FBI, was when I found this, when I was given this document, that actually came from the FBI. It was the document that I examined in my book, The Extra Dimensionals. It's the memorandum. It's what I call the smoking gun document. And it is this document that anybody can find at fbi.vault.gov. If you go there, you just, it's the repository of all declassified documents from the FBI. And the single most downloaded popular document in that archive that anybody can get for free is the smoking gun document, the memorandum of importance. And it is basically, you go on vault.fbi.gov. Then on the right, you can click on unexplained mysteries. Click on that, and then on the left, you can click on UFOs. Click on that, and then a bunch of groups of UFO documents show up. And then you click on the left side, first group. Click on that, and then you go to page 22. And if you go to page 22 on that, you will find this smoking gun document. At the top, it has the number 6751. And it is written by an FBI agent who is writing a document to the scientific community. And he's telling them, I have an informant. My informant is supernormal, which is an old-timey word for supernatural. And he said, because of who my informant is, you probably won't believe what I'm going to say, but I still have to say it because everyone wants to know who the aliens visitors are. And again, this was dated July 8th, 1947. And he said basically the central idea of my books, which he said that alien visitors are not physical. He said they are coming here from other dimensions. They are in a different vibration. They are in different, he uses Vedic language. He says they are in different lokas, which is levels of existence that never intersect. And he says they change their vibratory rate to match our vibration rate. And then they're able to be here for temporary periods of time. He says also they're not sailing around in UFOs. He says those UFOs are empty. And he says they are actually here for peaceful purposes. They're here to investigate if they can settle in the earth permanently. And he says we should never attack them with our Air Force. That would be a catastrophe. And we saw in 1952 in Washington, D.C. that was exactly what happened when our Air Force attacked them. It was really a big humiliation for our Air Force. In 1952. So a lot of the things that he says in this document, in the smoking gun document, have come true, have been proven to be true over and over again. But the central theme of this document, where he gives about 8 or 9 conclusions about alien visitors, the central theme is they're not physical. They are extra dimensional.
So there you consider them like being light or being, you can't really see them. If we happen to see them, then it would be kind of like just light for us or
Yeah, they can be, because we're talking about shifting states of matter. Same thing with UFOs. We have seen cases again and again and again where these UFOs, they're not metal shells. The real ones I'm talking about. They're not metal shells that are clanking around. They appear to be in shifting states of matter, like plasma. And that's why I always suggest that we need to start calling them plasmas, and yet that doesn't mean that we know exactly what states of matter they're in, but they are shifting, they are changing. And yeah, there are times when they're visible as light. Sometimes they're visible, it appears to be as metal, and other times they're not visible at all. So yeah, same thing with alien visitors themselves. They appear to be in shifting states of matter all the time.
Wow. Have you